I think the strangest thing that I've gotten out of the last it's really just been the last two off seasons is just how quickly teams are giving up on quarterbacks. It's there's never been I've never seen this before where a team drafts a quarterback in the first round. It used to be if you drafted a guy in the first round and he was your starter and he was still on his rookie contract, he was going to play out that rookie contract and he would probably get a second contract unless he was stunk to high heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Baker, Darnold,
Rosen,
both of these guys,
Rosen.
they've just right. I mean, Rosen was immediate, but you're having these guys it doesn't seem like there's such a thing as a franchise quarterback anymore. There are guys who are all world level quarterbacks, but it seems like teams are, the Lions could have just been like, yeah, Matt Stafford will retire a Lion. We're not trading Matt Stafford. He will be with us through the highs and the lows. The Giants had the opportunity to do that with Eli Manning. They could have traded him to the Jaguars and gotten a first round pick. Eli Manning's finishing his career as a Giant. The Steelers, I'm sure when Big Ben was healthier 3 or 4 years ago, could have traded him, but they were still fairly competitive and they kept Big Ben around. Phil Rivers was with the Chargers as long as they were competitive, and then he left last year. But you're seeing guys getting traded in the prime of their careers, or when they still have 4 or 5 more years left. When a team could look at a guy and say, we could make one last run with this guy. The Lions could have built around Matt Stafford and been like, you know what? We're going to make one last run and see if we can go out on top with this guy when he's 37, 38 years old. But you're seeing teams just trade quarterbacks in the prime of their careers. Quarterbacks didn't get traded like this. This is not something that happened.
You're right. I mean,
a franchise guy, you would start and end your career in one place.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I think the changing of the guard really started happening in the early 2010s. That's so I kind of mark the 2010 NFL draft being our turning point in quarterback commentary, quarterback history, whatever you want to call it, right? Because I mean,
you're the quarterback.
What?
It's the year of the quarterback.
It was the year. Oh yeah. There you go. ESPN. Hey, they were right. It was the year of the quarterback because that's the year that a lot of this stuff started to really change and happen. Remember, that was the year Jimmy Clausen was drafted early in the second round by the Carolina Panthers. What happened the next year? They get the number 1 overall pick. They see Cam Newton there. Can't not take Cam Newton. It was very much that Josh Rosen and Kyler Murray scenario that played out with the Cardinals just a few years ago. And I think that's one of the real first instances where we saw something like that. This wasn't Kurt Warner coming in and taking Trent Green's job and just being the best quarterback in the and proving it throughout the season. This was, we have given up on this guy. It's been a year. We were the worst record in the league. We are giving up on this guy. You're right. In years previous, what would they have done? They would have said, all right, cool. Cam Newton's a really good prospect, but we believe in Jimmy Clausen. We have to believe in Jimmy Clausen. They would have taken, who Ziggy Ansah or someone else who was in that draft as a defensive end. But they did.
They would have traded down.
They would have traded down.
Yeah,
but the thing is, they didn't, and it worked, and that's what I think teams noticed. They were like, okay, the quarterback position is the most important position in football because that's the person who is delegating all responsibility and choosing where the ball goes. The ball is in their hands. That's the game. You win the game through the quarterback position. And when teams noticed that they could just give up on quarterbacks, and oh my God, the sky didn't fall. Oh my God, wow, fans aren't turning their backs on the franchise. They're like, oh wow, we're winning? Or we're doing better than we were last year? We're showing some sort of progression at the quarterback position? Okay. And now I think you're seeing it. At certain point, it's going to balance itself out. I'm telling you. At a certain point, it's going to balance itself out. Right now, what we're seeing is the wheeling and dealing that are Madden levels of just insane. You could fast forward 3 years in Madden, the NFL would not look as crazy as it does now. Matt Ryan's a Colt. Carson Wentz is a Washington Commander. You got Marcus Mariota coming over, being a Falcon now. like the NFL is topsy turvy. The quarterback position is topsy turvy. In many respects, that position had become very similar to the NBA, where you could ask your way out. Watson proved that, even with everything that's going on in his situation. And I think you're right. At some point, there was that changing of the guard, and I agree with you in this respect. I don't like it because I do think that it endears people less to team loyalty and all that, and more so to players, or it endears people more to team loyalty than it does to players. And you got to have that nice balance. That's why it's good when you have a guy like, say what you want about Joe Flacco, my favorite quarterback of all time, Joe Flacco. I will go to my grave thinking that, because he was really the first franchise quarterback the Ravens had. For better or worse, that was our guy. And while that wasn't necessarily the smart decision, especially the latter years of his career, it's hard to explain, but you lived with it, and you almost learned to love it. I know I'm making it sound like this is some sort of like hostage situation, which it was. Joe Flacco, he took that team hostage for a while, but look, I mean, like there's something endearing about that, and something you can't really explain. Like, that's our guy, and I can rip on Flacco as much as I want because that's my dude. But if you do, now we're throwing hands. There's something. Maybe that is the wrong way to think about it. Who knows? Maybe it is all working out for the better. Maybe we're progressing as a society. Hey everyone, we hope you liked this video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Until next time, keep it real.